And this next fight here between Ho Choi and Kyle Nelson, it's another fight where I feel like both these fighters' jobs may be on the line. Ho Choi is making his return after over 3 years away from the sport, and at one time, he was one of the biggest prospects in the world, but in 2023, he's just trying to save his spot on the roster here. Currently on a 3-fight losing skid. He hasn't won a fight since July of 2016, and I don't know what's the longest time in between wins for fighters who were in the UFC the whole time and didn't get cut and come back years later, but Choi may be looking at one of the longest span between wins in UFC history if he can get it done on Saturday night. And if you just look at Choi's wins, I mean, it paints a picture of how long ago it was. He beat Sam Cecilia, Thiago Tavares, Manuel Puig. None of those fighters have competed in the UFC in the last 5 years, and they've been cut from the promotion long ago. And Choi's losses have been against good competition in Cub Swanson, Jeremy Stevens, who are two older veterans kind of at the end of their careers, and then Charles Jourdain, but he's gotten knocked out twice in a row. He's coming off a bad shoulder surgery, which required a long layoff. Even before that, he wasn't active due to his military service and some other things, so it's difficult to trust Choi. And this is certainly a step down in competition, though. He's facing another fighter in a similar situation to him, and Kyle Nelson, who's 1-4 in his first 5 UFC fights. So Kyle Nelson, he joined the UFC in 2018. He's fought 5 times. His competition level has definitely been high, but there's been a recurring theme in his fights where he starts fast, he pushes a 1-round pace, gets tired, and then finished. The one fight that he won, he got to finish early, and that's been the story of his entire career in the UFC. He has not won a fight that's gone past the first round since 2016, where he won a split decision over Jonathan Brookings. His last fight, he went up to a lightweight, and he was able to go to a decision even though he lost. All his other UFC fights where he lost, he was finished, and I think a lot of that was due to not cutting weight. I think he cuts way too much weight to get to 45. He's a really big guy, but he decided to go back down to that weight class, and we'll see if it benefits him or not. But when you look at Kyle Nelson and you look at his style, I mean, he has a good jab, good straight right hand, and good counter left hook, step in knees, decent leg kicks, round kicks to the body. I've seen him throw a left hook, right uppercut combination, and he comes out fast. He definitely has power. He also is an okay grappler. He doesn't really push the wrestling, but he has a good reactive double, heavy elbows when he can actually get on top, and good rear naked choke. I feel like in this fight, he's going to have to either really get in good shape and bank on the wrestling or catch him early, because I don't see him really doing well in a long-term striking fight with Ho Choi. Once he gets tired, his kind of finesse and his ability to strike goes out the window. He becomes more and more wild. His volume goes down. He becomes more hittable, and it's just going to fall apart for him. So he either has to get that knockout early or come in the best shape that he's ever been and be able to strike sharp or get takedowns and do that. But I think it's probably going to have to be an early thing for Kyle Nelson to get the win in this one. And Ho Choi, he is coming off 3 losses in a row, like I was saying earlier, 2 TKOs in a row, shoulder surgery. So right off the bat, you just have to wonder where his head's at, how he's going to perform and things like that. But at 31 years old, he's not like he's, super old or anything like that. And even though he's taking a lot of damage, the time off could have potentially helped him there. And he's definitely the better striker. I mean, the guy's real slick on the feet. He has great leg kicks, big power in his hands. He throws that piston right hand right down the middle. Nice check hook, fast combinations. When he hurts you, he swarms you and goes for the finish. And he, early on when he's fresh, is very, very, very effective. He controls that distance, slides in and out of range, hard to hit. But the thing with Choi is if you can kind of get past that early barrage, take some shots, and get him into those later rounds, his defense becomes leaky, man. You'll start to back up, and he never moves his head, and his movements become a little bit slower, and you can catch him when he's moving backwards and start to touch him on the chin, and we've seen him get clipped and hurt and finished. So I feel like his chin maybe is not what it used to be, or maybe isn't as great, and he's going to have to just be more responsible in this one, start to kind of adapt his style a little bit potentially. But I feel like in this fight, if he can survive that early barrage from Nelson, which I think he can, and keep it technical, chop the legs, attack the body, try to slip in those big punches, counters, then he probably should be good and should be able to get the knockout in this one. So I'm going to give Ho Choi the benefit of the doubt and say that he comes back and gets a win for the first time in a long time here. So I'm going to go with Doo Ho Choi by second round KO TKO in this one.